Hi there, this is Mrs. Piper, and we are going to be going over in this video some of the major steps of creating our Aaron Douglas inspired figurative painting. Remember, you are supposed to be depicting in silhouette form figures in action. They might be depicting an event or an activity that you enjoy or that you can glean from your imagination. Now, if you all recall, the first thing you did was you were given tracing paper. And on that tracing paper, you were sketching out ideas. Now, these are my pieces of tracing paper. And as you can see, I have 3 different sheets. And I wanted to go over my thought processes. I started sketching the city of Austin with some of the major buildings that I was attracted to. And then when I was sketching them out, I looked them up on my phone. And when I was drawing them on the tracing paper, I realized that this building didn't belong here. It actually belonged on the right side of the Frost Bank building. So I drew a little arrow just to remind myself that when I got to the big paper, that would be where I put it. I would put it further over. I drew my Capitol. I drew a couple of buildings that I didn't like, so I X'd through them. Again, this is your rough draft paper, so it does not have to be specific. My main characters are 2 people standing on a stage with a crowd around them. And I drew the crowd in this empty space right here at the bottom. And then I drew a smaller set of crowd images that were just these same ones, just in a different order. And I drew them smaller because that way they'll appear further away. And you'll see what I mean when I get to my big paper. Now, when I started this process, I decided to transfer the city skyline onto my final draft paper. And I want to review how you go about transferring it. Over in the green coil pot on my teacher workstation, you're going to find some pencils. I'm going to make sure I can see these. Very good. Okay. Now, this one says extra black drawing. That one works. This one says layout pencil. That also works. This one is the ebony pencil. That works. And this one is called, oh, that's another layout pencil, right? So what you need is you need one of these ebony pencils. And there are a bunch of different brands. It doesn't matter which brand you get. I happen to be using an ebony pencil, so this is the one that I'm going to be using. And in order to get my images onto my white watercolor paper, remember you can't trace it at the window because the watercolor paper is too thick. So the first thing you want to do is you want to turn your paper over and trace over the buildings and the figures with the ebony pencil. So that's what I've done. You can see this is the back of my paper and it's got the ebony pencil on it. Here's an example that I've not done. I have not done the female figure yet, so let me show you. You're going to turn it over, and I've got this on just a scratch sheet of yellow paper. I'm going to trace over the figure. And that way, when I trace it onto the watercolor paper, this figure will transfer over. And I'm going to demonstrate that in just a moment. Okay? So, what I did, I took my watercolor paper and I laid my paper down and I traced over it with a regular number 2 pencil. And what happens is once you place it down and you trace over it, the pressure from your pencil will transfer it onto the white paper. Okay? Now, I had done the Capitol, some trees, and the Jenga building when I realized that this is a horizontal format, and if I was going to fit my figures in here, they all of a sudden would not make sense. They were too far to the bottom and I couldn't use them. So keep in mind that your paper can be horizontal or it can be vertical. So I turned my paper vertically, and I hope you all can see all of it. I don't think you can because of the way the Yeah, so you can't see all of it, but I turned my paper vertically, and I put the city up along the top. I put my figure in the center, and then I put my fans down here at the bottom. Now, I have not drawn in the female figure yet, and I have not drawn the fans that are in the background, but at least I have my layout somewhat figured out, okay? Now, it's already on my big paper, and what I'd like to do is remind everybody that you need to lay out the colors for your idea first. So I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to show you how to lay out your colors for your composition. Thank you for watching so far, and I'll see you back in just